Jan's first trip to Russia in 1956 was a profound experience for him. Russia, the birthplace of his parents and their parents before them. The land of Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof. The land where Yiddish, if at all remembered, was spoken in whispers and had not been heard publicly for nearly 40 years. And the land where Jan Peerce could not help but express his belief in religious freedom.
I had occasion of doing as one of the encores a Hebrew Yiddish spiritual, Den Teure mit Gott, a plea to God. And after I had finished this number, there was a hush, a momentary hush, which I can only define as one that the audience was just excited at hearing something that they haven't heard in a long time. But moments later, there was a great outburst of applause and stamping of feet and yelling. And this happened wherever I sang, all through Russia.
Italiener versuchen a sehr König, Isaac König. Und nie, ich lebe jetzt Aventure, über die Identität, alle chi serrà
Jan Peerce sang 3 more concerts in Moscow, as well as one in Leningrad and one in Kiev. But the highlight of the trip was a Sabbath prayer in the great synagogue of Moscow with Jan Peerce's cantor before hundreds of his people with thousands more crowding the streets outside. For those who could not worship in the way they wished, their burden was lifted, if only for a moment. The Jewish community of Moscow and Jan Peerce shared a spiritual reunion together. The following editorial from the New York Herald Tribune of May 14th, 1963, after Jan's second visit to Russia, was read into the congressional record. These questions of religious freedom have weighed for decades on the hearts of Russian Jews. But none dared to voice his complaints to the Lord in public for fear of punishment by the lords of the Kremlin. It was the son of a Jewish immigrant from Russia who was able to do it for them. Jacob Pinchas Perlmutt, better known as Jan Peerce. And the reason he could raise these questions without fear of reprisal by the Kremlin is that his father left Russia so that he might be born on Orchard Street.
Alice, of all the songs you've heard Jan sing over the years, have you any particular favorite?
I must say it would be very difficult for me to tell you which arias and which of the concert music I prefer, but a special number, like Bluebird of Happiness, holds a warm spot in my heart, and that this afforded us the excuse to make a collection of birds from all over the world, which we have in this cabinet here. We have bluebirds from Copenhagen, from England, from Italy, from Canada, and of course from the United States.
The Bluebird of Happiness was Jan Peerce's best-selling record. Written especially for him by Shandor Harmati and Tin Pan Alley lyricist Eddie Hyman, it became America's #1 song on the charts in 1945. Its optimistic theme was one every American could appreciate. In many ways, it reflected Jan's own rags-to-riches story.
You know what they called me in those days? They'd announce me saying, and now we'll hear from Gypsy Jan from Spokane. That was my cue to start singing Bluebird.
So learn your lesson before it is too late. So here, like I, hold your head up high, till of happiness. You will find greater peace of mind, knowing there's a bluebird of happiness. And when he sings to you, though you're deep in blue, you will see a ray of light breathe through. And so remember this, life is no abyss. Somewhere there's a bluebird of happiness.
The critic Louis Biancoli best defined the spiritual qualities of Jan Peerce. When he sang Yiddish and Hebrew, he was the epitome of all the protest and pain that over the centuries have made the Jew the most tragic and noble of victims and scapegoats. Peerce also sang Bach with an intensity and fervor that argued the Protestant way to divinity. Again, he was identifying holy in mind and spirit, probing that universal kinship that reaches beyond ritual to a beauty and singleness of ideal. When he sang something like the Manzoni Requiem of Verdi, one would swear this to be the soaring voice and aspiration of a confirmed Catholic piety. And so it was. For Jan Peerce expressed the spiritual hunger of all creeds. In his book, there was but one creed, one tabernacle, in which we behold one another and God with one love.
And if things don't look so cheerful, just show a little fight. For every bit of darkness, there's a little bit of light. For every bit of hatred, there's a little bit of love. For every cloudy morning, there's a midnight moon above. So don't you...
In May of 1982, less than 4 months after this Carnegie Hall concert, Jan Peerce had a stroke that partially paralyzed the right side of his body. His voice, however, remained strong, and he vocalized every day. But in early 1983, he contracted pneumonia and fell into a coma from which he never emerged. Jan Peerce died on December 15th, 1984, at the age of 80.
And so remember this, life is no abyss. Somewhere there's a bluebird of happiness. And it won't make one bit of difference if I answer right or wrong. When you're rich, they think you're of their door. If I were rich, I'd have the time that I'd lack to sit in the synagogue and pray, and maybe have a seat by the eastern wall. And I discuss the holy books with the learned men 7 hours every day. This would be the sweetest thing of all. Oh, if I were a rich man, all day long I have bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Lord, who made the lion and the lamb, you decreed I should be what I am. Would it spoil some vast eternal plan if I were a wealthy man?